Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today we are discovering one of my favorite watches all over again, launched in 2007 and the launch platform for the 8500 series coaxial movements. This is the Omega de Ville Hour Vision, a watch that I viewed longingly at the Tourneau in Penn Station, back when there was a Tourneau in Penn Station. When I was at my first job in downtown Manhattan back in 2007, this watch was the limit. 41 millimeters in diameter with a case made of both sapphire and steel. It is a watch that has reasonable proportions, as you can see right here, 49.4 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, but 12.5 thick, so it's not super thick. It has a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs and the very rarely seen factory bracelet. So throwing this on the wrist, the star of the 2007 Omega model year, looks good on my wrist. It is a big watch. When you have something that's over 49 millimeters lug to lug, it's generally going to be suited for a man's wrist. And I would say that this watch would probably fit a wrist of 15 centimeters circumference, but no smaller. My wrist at 16 is not the smallest that can wear this, but we're getting there. Now it is fairly thin though, and with a sloped case flank, it will slide underneath the dress cuff. It is a very handsome watch. And it is more of an all-arounder than a pure dress watch, since it is 5000 G shock resistant and 100 meters water resistant. A good-looking watch from every angle. The bracelet is where this one really stands apart. As you can see, the factory bracelet for this watch is designed to work with a case whose flanks between the lugs are partly made of sapphire crystal, so the two never come in contact. We have these lovely and immensely complex assemblies featuring a combination of polish and satin with beveling on the edge. You can see that the links, this is something you often see on fine bracelet design, they have a little bit of curvature actually designed into them. So their natural curvature gives them a very agreeable fit and aesthetic when they are on the wrist. And we have quite a few removable links too, and you'll note the use of intermediate sized links, so you have a little bit more sizing flexibility in case you do find yourself in between sizes. Viewed from the bottom, you could see that the links have plenty of gaps to avoid pinching skin, pulling hair, or trapping wrist heat. Now we've got a twin trigger clasp here. Twin trigger, now it is a sequential, so one side closes before the other, and we have a rose gold Omega logo inserted. The combination of satin and polish is dramatic and striking, and the twin triggers ensure that this clasp cannot pop open inadvertently. You must press both. The case was fascinating, taking something hitherto only featured on super high-end watches and bringing it to the mainstream of luxury. These sapphire case inserts, there's 4 of them, are largely responsible for the name of the watch, Hour Vision, and they wanted to put that caliber 8500 on display. The rest of the case is just as complex. As you can see, these lugs which ride up over the bezel, an unusual look, and they also have a little bit of a soft bevel on their side. They're polished, but they're also satinated on their flank, and the bezel is domed all the way around. Again, those lugs ride right up to the crystal, an unusual and effective aesthetic. The dial is a lovely one, featuring white gold dial furniture, like the hands and the date frame, for example, and the Omega logo. And then we have these tracks that are brushed rhodium around the edge, and they give the watch a very Art Deco aesthetic, that sort of Fritz Lang Metropolis or Chrysler building look, the machine age notion of a living environment that looks like the technology of its time. And it really is a very intricate, unusual, and memorable aesthetic for Omega. Omega has rarely built such a distinctive watch that's neither a Speedmaster nor a Seamaster. We've got red, we've got the rhodium, we've got the white gold, we've got black and white print on the black. So it's in its way a very subtly colorful dial. You can see the depth of those tracks which are raised above the dial, and then the faceted and polished indices. And if you look at those little indices, they are beautifully mirror polished and faceted. They twinkle like cut gems. Taking a quick look at some of the subsidiary setting functions. This was the introduction. I'll pull the crown out all the way. We do have hacking seconds. This was also the introduction of Omega's time zone feature. where, at least on mechanical watches, it had been present on Omega quartz watches for a while, but this idea that the watch, while still running without disrupting the minute, can be adjusted hour by hour to suit a traveler who might be jumping time zones in either direction, forward or backwards. And that's a great feature for those of us who do travel quite a bit. Taking a look at the reverse of the case, important to note these very early examples did not feature a silicone hairspring. This one was retailed in 2007, so it doesn't have that, but it has all the other features of the 8500. So bidirectional winding with 2 barrels in series, a 60-hour power reserve, shock resistant with a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance. It's got a 25,200 vibration per hour oscillation rate, and then it's a 39 joule movement adjusted in 5 positions and certified as a Swiss chronometer. COSC, you can see that there is a tri-level coaxial. This was the first from the base plate up purpose-built Omega coaxial movement, and while there had been adaptations of prior movements in the past, this was really the first family that implemented everything George Daniels and Omega collectively had learned about coaxials, and it was designed to be a coaxial native. As a result, it really did realize the promise that Daniels first sensed when he invented the coax back in 1974. So reduced friction, improved power reserve, reduced maintenance, and also improved chronometry. It is a tangential impulse system rather than the sliding friction of a Swiss lever. It has tangential friction, and that's the idea behind the coaxial. And this is the so-called tri-level coaxial. So lots to love here. You can see my favorite detail of this dial, the way the hands have these polished razor-like facets on their edge and then satination across their tops. You can even see that the ends have been faceted and polished. The attention to detail runneth over. Probably my favorite all-around Omega model. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.